chapter 20, 27th of October through to the 4th of November. 2,500 kilometres from DunHuang through to Tibet, Lhasa, and all the way up to Mount Everest. Well, after our little rest at DunHuang, it was very noticeable that morning that just about all the vehicles are electric, including these rather nifty little scooters and duvets that everyone has parked outside our hotel. Anyway, long old drive today, so we cranked up the gas guzzlers and got stuck into around about 600 kilometres, which was the last stretch of the super highway. Overnighted at Golmud, and then we got pumped up to start going up. Tuesday the 29th of October, day 8. We are on a high, 5,000 metres. We are having a fellow day! Well, the song was called Better Day, but the roads certainly weren't better, and the weather was getting a bit grim. It was very sort of bleak at this height as we climbed up to our first 5,000 metre pass.
Good chance to meet some Chinese tourists and of course for us to show off the landing, although they did seem more interested in Jake. At this height, very little grows, but we did see some yaks, deers, donkeys, and this wolf.
Hard to show how tough the road was as well, but we did see a number of lorries broken down, and unfortunately, eventually, the landy gave way and the anti-roll bar snapped. No way I was going to be able to fix that, but it was still drivable, so 40k down the road where we were staying, we saw this mechanic. He detached the part that was broken and welded it together again, which was brilliant. 30 minutes later, all put back on, all sorted. Blinking marvellous. We all found it pretty hard to sleep, actually, at this altitude with such little oxygen, so we filled ourselves up with oxygen on the next day, said goodbye to the cat, and got ready to enter Tibet. Okay, day 9, 30th of October 2024, and we're going into Tibet. How do you feel about that whole thing, Jake?
Bloody great.
Tibet is called the roof of the world, is 10 times bigger than the UK, and has the highest average altitude of any country.
We're at 5,233 metres, which is enormous. It's the same height as Everest Base Camp. This is really high, much less than half the oxygen in the air. So you'll see we've got a little oximeter, and luckily I'm here with a qualified nurse. Was much nicer weather, much nicer roads, really nice drive in fact. Though we did meet this chap who apparently is cycling and doing TikTok. Anyway, we got to the hotel in Ando, really nice. Tashi, Nero, myself walked through this hotel lobby, and then Jake decided to drive through the lobby. Security reasons, of course. We then went for a spicy Tibetan hot pot cooked at your table and some high altitude beers before going back to the room where oxygen was pumped overnight into your room, which was really helpful. Good night's sleep. Next day, 200k into Lhasa, and I was filling up at this stage with special high altitude diesel, so the landy was humming nicely.
Not too much to see on the high plains until we got close to more mountains, and this temple with prayer flags. Then into Lhasa, where we had a lovely warm welcome from the locals.
Somehow Tashi negotiated this 4-star hotel for 22 quid a night, and then we set about scaring ourselves for Halloween.
The next day we visited the Jokhan temple and saw Buddhist devotees arriving, some of whom would have walked like this for weeks and months to get here.
It's a really beautiful city, Lhasa, and there were still these autumnal leaves left on the trees when we were there. Our next stop was Potala Palace, which is enormous, built on a mountainside. The palace had just been repainted white, which has taken a year to do and was done for free by the local inhabitants, like this chap. We couldn't film much inside, but this is home to the 14 Dalai Lamas who ruled the country as well as the religion. We could take lots of photos of the locals though. We then had a massage by 3 blind therapists, which was quite an experience, before going for a 12p cup of tea with all these people. And then a last look at the Potala Palace, which may look even more beautiful at night time. Really loved Lhasa. Still, we had to keep moving, so 300k the next day to the second city of Tibet, Shigatse. And we joined the 318, which is the Friendship Highway. Stretches over 5,000 kilometres from Shanghai in the east all the way over to where we were in Western China. Terrifically beautiful road. Came across these slightly bizarrely dressed up yaks and dogs, and then started climbing up to yet another over 5,000 metre pass. This pass included this stunning Lake Yamcho. Landscape here was just getting more and more beautiful as we got closer and closer to the Himalayas, including this glacier nearby, and then we reached Shigatse. So good to see this dancing outside. It was really, really high quality, but we couldn't hang around because we had a big day the next day. More beautiful driving to get us to the entrance to Potala Pass, which is the first time we could see Everest and 4 other peaks over 8,000 metres. Said hello to our local fans again, and then it was time to climb. It's Sunday the 3rd of November, and we are going up 108 turns to see Mount Everest, with about 5,000 metres at the moment, 5,200 for the pass, and then look at Everest, which is about 8,900, I think.
It's actually 8,848 meters high, and from this point you can also see 4 other peaks over 8,000 meters. The very top of the roof of the world, and it was amazing.
totally breathtaking and amazing for all of us to think that we'd driven this far. So we stayed there for 3 or 4 hours until sunset, which was glorious. Then about an hour's drive to finish off the 108 turns and go to Tashi's sister-in-law, who had kindly offered to put us up for the evening. Our guide Tashi grew up around here, and the next day he offered to take us to have a look at some Tibetan life at the village he grew up in. Jake took the wheel and off we went.
Might get me one of these.
Go on, everybody.
Oh, it feels brilliant.
We hadn't realised, but at the time Tashi knew there was also a wedding going on in the village.
It's so incredible. Hello.
Tibetan weddings typically take 5 days, and we'd just seen some of day one. Really lovely. And then on to Tashi's childhood home, which was amazing, and a typically traditional Tibetan main room. Really stunning, actually. Very nice to see as we came close to the end of our 2-week tour with Tashi. We then went up to the Rombok Monastery, which is very close to Everest Base Camp and is a beautiful site. And then just one last thing to do. There it was, Everest, right in front of us. 20 kilometres away, but it seemed much closer and relatively easy to maybe... We were getting used to the altitude. We had Cadbury's chocolate, McVitie's digestives and Marks & Spencer's tea bag. Not for the first time we thought, let's give it a go.